So if you're watching, there's probably something fucking wrong with you. Thank you for being here. Um, yeah, you get to see how I go through, do the podcast. This is the second time I've done video version of this. We'll see how it goes. If you're wondering, like, why does he have a hood on? Because it's fucking cold back here. It's very chilly. It's like 7 degrees outside. Windows right there, not really insulated. And yeah, I guess let's just rock and roll with this. Probably not a good shot on the back of my head there. Welcome back to the Spirits Guide podcast. I am Rich, your guide to the intoxicating world of spirits, books, movies, music, and anything else that I feel like connects us as humans. Anything else that I really want to fuck off? Alright, let's chop that. Too many distractions. Now you get to see this on video. That sometimes is how it starts. I don't get off to a good rhythm. Just shut it down and redo it. The other thing you'll get to see by watching this is that there's one take. It's one shot all the way through, whether I'm prepared or not. There's no splicing, there's no editing of any of the audio. It's just one shot all the way through. Let's get back in touch here. Trying not to be distracted by the camera and the audio. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Welcome back to the Spirits Guide podcast. I am Rich, your guide through the intoxicating world of spirits, books, movies, music, and anything else that I feel like connects us as humans, and anything else I really want to talk about. And those are the things that I want to talk about. Things that kind of connect us from humans. I want to start out, as always, by thanking you guys for taking a little bit of time out of your day, out of your week, out of your life to share it with me. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. Mental health check-in. It's been, not every week is perfect, so this has been kind of a little jittery week for me. Nothing in particular, nothing really. There's always a lot eating at my brain. It's just kind of the way it works. But still taking my medication, still doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, and still here doing the podcast. And this is one of the things that kind of keeps me grounded, disciplined, and it's sort of a structure in my world. So thank you guys for being here. And for the support and for reaching out, for all the messages. And I apologize. I got some messages from some of you guys this week that I didn't respond to. I apologize again. Little jittery with the brain this week. Also, kind of a busy week at the store. And I'll talk about the way the industry is going and the positive signs I am seeing in the business. Sort of the last gasp at life. But before we get to that, and before we get to the bottles that I'm going to be tasting today, because last week we talked about the snow apocalypse and fucking snowmageddon, and it's been colder than a witch's tit outside for the last week. And being back at the store, being back in retail, it's great. I love being back. I love being back doing what it is that I get to do, some of the people I get to see, but also you get exposed to some fucking humans out there, and it's a little long overdue for kind of a rich rant, and it coincides with everything on this episode that I've watched a few things lately where I'm like, what the fuck, and and there's been some customer interactions lately where I'm like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? Can you stop with that, please? And so it kind of all came together that I ended up wanting to hunt down some, what started out as like what the fuck kind of bottles, but in the end it ended up being more of a cultural search, um, just to kind of, I don't know, stimulate my brain after some of the the bonkers shit. So in retail, and again, there's there's a lot of great people that I deal with on a daily basis, but there are certain people that drive me kind of fucking nuts, grind the gears, um, people with fucking bad etiquette, um, like people who chew with their mouth open, people who drag their fork across their teeth when they're eating, people who fart at the dinner table, or bad fucking etiquette, people who take their shoes off on planes, you know, those things drive me fucking nuts. Corny people, needy people, also drive me fucking nuts. And, during the snowy season, it, fucking, I think this is like a New England thing too, because we spend all summer going like, oh, is it hot enough out there for you? Like, understand that when you're a customer and you walk into a retail store and you go like, oh, it's really hot out there. Like, the last 30 people have fucking told me that as well. Um, I don't know if sometimes people just feel like I've got to talk because I've got to fill the air. Sometimes I know in a liquor store setting, because I remember this from my bartending years, sometimes people feel the need to make a joke because they're fucking drunk and they're trying to distract you, and it's their way of being like, oh, I'm fucked up on the inside. Let me make a joke here, and that'll be funny. Please understand, and I know it's not you guys listening, but if you have friends who do this shit, whether it's in a grocery store, whether it's in a liquor store, whatever sort of customer interaction setting that you are in, I'm there to work. I didn't buy a ticket for a fucking open mic comedy show, so please quit with your fucking corny jokes or your corny comments. Oh, is it cold enough out there for you? If I had a nickel for every time I heard that in the past week, I'd have a lot of fucking nickels. Oh, what about this snow? Like, are you Jerry fucking Seinfeld? Like, are you doing, like, observational comedy? Like, stop. Everybody who has come in the store that is corny has mentioned the snow, has mentioned how cold it is. It's unnecessary. It's truly, truly fucking unnecessary. I had one guy say like, oh, if they could shut the AC off outside, that would be great. Like, you're not funny. Our relationship is largely transactional. You came here to buy liquor. I'm here to sell you liquor. Let's go through that transaction. Please, stop sharing your corny jokes. It really, in a funny way, it reminds me of those insurance commercials where the old guy is talking about how homeowners turn into their parents and they just become like corny. The guy with the coffee going, I got a coffee here for Jan. Could be Jan. And the old guy is just shaking his head. Or stop. Understand. You're not the first person to tell me that it's fucking snowing out. You're not going to be the last person to tell me that it's fucking snowing out. I'm well aware. I drove to work. I knew it was snowing. I can hear the rain on the roof. You don't have to tell me that it's fucking raining. Stop. Stop. Drives me fucking nuts. And in the progression of customers, you get that one customer who's like, oh my God, it's so cold out there. Fucking freezing. And then the next asshole behind him will walk in wearing goddamn flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt when it's 7 degrees out. Yeah, I don't... best part about people is that they're human. The worst part about people is that they're people. And now we're in New England, and the Patriots, whether you're a sports fan or not, and this is going to lead into kind of the state of the industry, but you know, the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, biggest game of the year for professional football. And if you're not a sports fan, I get it. And if you're not a sports fan and you're not acknowledging the fact that the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, I fucking love it. I love it. Because the amount of people now who have heard of the Patriots, know that they're a thing, know that everybody else who is into sports is excited about it. Now they have a reason to go to a party on Sunday next week. Go Pats. Stop. Stop. If you're not a sports fan, it's okay. You don't have to fake that you are. If you haven't watched football since Tom Brady left New England 7 years ago or whatever it is, and now you're watching again because they're good again, like that's great. But please don't stop with the go Pats. Yay, like stop. It's just another excuse to be part of a crowd, and just know that when you walk out of the store, Corey and I are looking at each other going like, oh, fucking corny. We've actually started a club in our minds between us called the FTG Club, which stands for fuck that guy, for the amount of like corny people that come into the store. That being said, as much as they drive me nuts, I do fucking love them. They are my people. And the good thing is that they're coming in the store. Oh boy. 10 minutes in. Let's pour some drinks. I gotta tell you guys, I don't know if I've ever been more excited to record an episode as I am today and next week. I'm looking forward to next week's episode just as much, but for much different reasons. And the reason that I am so excited about this episode this week is when I kind of, the way this all came together, and I've talked about it before, like sometimes this shit just comes to me. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to do until the day I'm recording. And sometimes, like, I've spent all week thinking about this. And it kind of started with the corny people at the store. And then I've watched some stuff. You know, I haven't talked about TV shows or movies in a little bit. But again, working more sort of art and culture into the podcast, I've watched some things recently that when I get to the end of them, I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Why? And again, that led me on, like, let's find some what the fuck liqueurs, like things that won't make any sense to people. And then I had to go hunt them and find some different things that piqued my curiosity, at least. Because all the things I watched, like when I watched them on the previews, saw the trailers, I was like, that looks kind of fucking interesting. And then, yeah, it turned out to be bonkers as shit. So over the course of the week, I've actually collected these 3 bottles that are in front of me. But I haven't opened them. They've just been sitting here, day by day, as I add one more bottle to this podcast lineup. I haven't opened them. I had 2 of them sitting at the store over the course of the week, where Corey had asked me, like, oh, have you tasted that yet? I'm like, nope. I want my reaction to be true and real. And if I'm doing this on video, you'll get to see the look on my face. But I wanted genuine responses to it. And so, this bottle here, Mekong. It's the National Spirit of Thailand. The Spirit of Thailand. It actually says right there on the label. It was referred to as Thai whiskey, but in fact it's closer to a Thai rum. Interesting things about it. The distillery itself goes back to 1914. It is owned by the government of Thailand. And at one point in Thailand, the beverage of choice was imported whiskey. And so they needed to make a spirit that they could have sort of internally, in-house, in the country, that they would sell so that they could make the profit, and people, wouldn't be spending money on imported whiskey. This is kind of global tradition, really. Even in this country, when we were making rum in the early days of America, and the British didn't like that, they put a huge tax on imported sugar. They put huge taxes on rum, and that's when we had to start looking inward for, domestic sort of grains and ingredients. And that's how we started, really making whiskey in this country, because it was cheaper than importing the sugar to make rum. So this is a governmental strategy that has happened before over the years. Now, it's made from 95% sugarcane, molasses, and 5% starchy rice with herbs and spices and a little bit of caramel coloring added. I'm assuming the caramel coloring was added to make it resemble whiskey a little bit more. Interesting. Doesn't smell like too much on the nose. I'm using the Glencairn because I really want to focus the aromas up through. It is a little bit of chill on the bottle. It's a little chilly back here in the studio, so 35-degree spirit, which means 35% alcohol. So this is 70 proof. Let's see what we get. Okay. Interesting. It tastes like it's got a very rum-like flavor, but also, if you've ever had Metaxa, which is a Greek brandy, and they add herbs and spices to that, it's got like this, kind of nutmeggy, cardamom. It's not like the vanilla of a Captain Morgan. It's kind of like a mildly spiced rum with an interesting sort of fruity component to it. That's not bad. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. Is it something that is it good? Yeah. Is it worth the money? It's under $40. It's like $35 for something that's interesting and different. Yeah, I think it's worth the money. Would I buy it again? Probably not, because of the level of sweetness for me personally. It's just not something I would drink a lot of. But I could see myself drinking that with some club soda. Yeah. I might even pour a glass of that. Yeah. It's tasty. Does the bottle start a conversation in the bar? All of the bottles I'm going to drink here, and again, I'll show you. Just because most people have never seen this. But things like this are what still drive me on the spirit side of the industry, of like knowing that there's still something out there to discover. I'll dive deeper into that concept next week when I do that episode. I finally finished that Anthony Bourdain book, and I had so many thoughts on it that I was actually going to do that this week, and I pushed it because I really want to kind of form all those thoughts, because I think it goes deeper and bigger than just Bourdain. There's a lot of things that are applicable on a human sort of level. But yeah, the need to always, I don't know, find something new, find something interesting, find something different. Yeah, these are the things that keep me going. I was like, whoa, there's something out there that I didn't know. And I guess that goes back to the corny human thing of like, it's snowing out. I get that it's snowing out. Don't come in and tell me that it's fucking snowing out. I already know that. Tell me something I don't know. Tell me something interesting. Stop trying to impress me. Like, hey, did you know it's snowing out there? Yeah, I fucking know it's snowing out there. I can see. Freezing my ass off. I can feel. Tell me something I don't know. Make my day better. Just don't make it repetitive and redundant and tell me the same fucking thing that everybody else has already told me. Yeah, I don't know what order to do these bottles in, so we're just gonna... Because I've never tasted them before. That is the sound of the cellophane. Ooh. I'm a little excited to dig into that one. So yeah, as much as the corny people drive me nuts, the good thing is they're coming into the store, and it's, back in December when I was talking to the owners of the store and we were talking about, me leaving or staying or what the year was going to look like, I had a feeling that this January was going to be better than the last few Januaries. And one of the major things, and again, sports fans or not, having New England sports teams relevant in January has been huge for our business, at least at the store. So I've got to imagine for a lot of stores in Massachusetts, there's been a healthy sort of uptick in sales because of that. This January has been much better business-wise than last January, or the last 4 Januaries, really, where the liquor industry looked really, really bleak. Now, I've been saying it for a while that, all those reports of like, people are drinking less. I don't think they were. I just think that they didn't need to buy any more for a certain amount of time. We kind of depleted a lot of stuff, and now we're back buying. We're not buying like fucking crazy anymore. People ask me like, "Oh, what do you think this year will bring?" Like, I don't think all of a sudden the bourbon boom is going to reignite and people are going to start going crazy for fucking bourbon. They're still only looking for Buffalo Trace, Blanton's, Eagle Rare, specialty Sazerac products. People aren't looking as much for interesting products, which I get. They're still just looking for like, if I'm going to spend this money, I want to know what I'm getting. I want to know that it's quality. So they're kind of settling back into a groove where it's not as open as it was. And I hear a lot of stuff online about like craft whiskey producers complaining that wholesalers don't put any effort into their products. I think that's unfair. I think they overvalue their products, and I think that as a retailer, I'm carrying the products that customers are looking for. And if I'm carrying the products that customers are looking for, then my wholesalers are only going to carry the products that I'm looking for, which is the products that my customers are looking for. The world of Wilderness Trail, Chattanooga, New Riff, those are hard sells, and they're a little bit more expensive, and people are less likely to take a flyer on them. Woodinville, ASW, like there's so many, Middle West, so many of those brands that have hit the shelves in the whiskey world that people aren't looking to see what's next. They're looking to find what they already know. And there's been a few things, my job is always to find value. So early times bottled and bond, there's been plenty of people who have heard of that over the years. And so when I brought that into my store, yeah, people bought that. It was a liter of bonded bourbon for under $30. I think that's where the business is going. people, I think we're going to start to see a little bit more brand loyalty, which has been lost over the last 4 or 5 years, as people were just like, what's next? What's new? What's next? What's new? And I've said this a million times. We've all been burned by those overpriced bottles that we paid a ton of money for, and just turned out that they weren't worth it. So I think this is the year we're going to see a slight return to brand loyalty. You know, people who have discovered that they like Wild Turkey are going to buy Wild Turkey a little bit more consistently. I'm seeing, Jim Beam, just an uptick on people going back to just buying Jim Beam. It's good, it's affordable, you know what you're getting, and that's it. Tequila, I think this year kind of stabilizes, as much as the tequila influences have become the new bourbon influences. Like, every tequila is great, and the purists and traditionalists, and I've talked about that till I was fucking blue in the face with tequila. I think, as much as everybody wants to get on the bandwagon and keep launching new brands of tequila, I'm not seeing. I think this year people stop going like, ooh, what's the next new tequila? What's the new cool kid? They're gonna, brands like G4, Arete, Cimarron, Calleja, they've learned to trust those brands, and I think they're gonna settle back into a buying pattern with that. I think overall, it's gonna be a good year for the liquor industry, despite some of the global stuff and the tariffs and supply chain shortages. People are back in the store. Corny one's good ones. Yeah, the business, I think there's a good outlook. I don't think that there's going to be like a return to like, oh my god, single barrel market. Like, oh man, this is fucking wild. Sorry, I'm distracted. If you're watching on video over here to my left, you're seeing this giddiness on my face. Wow. I am. This is the kind of stuff that makes me smile, makes my spiritual side smile. Yeah, I don't think the single barrel market is coming back. I think certain single barrels will do well, but I think there's a lot of stores out there that are sitting on a lot of store picks that, again, I think people just aren't spending that kind of money on sort of off the beaten path. If it's a Weller store pick, if it's a Blanton store pick, a Buffalo Trace, an Eagle Rare, people are still buying those. I've got an Old Forester store pick coming in a couple of months that I'm really excited about. It was pretty fantastic. I'm hoping people still kind of go after that. But some of those off the beaten path brands, it's going to be a store to store thing, and unless, I think you're going to see a lot more of that in a lot of these stores, because really in a lot of the stores that are around, the people who do the store picks aren't actually in the store to sell them, so that hurts a little bit. And yeah, they just tend to be a little bit more. I'm sorry, I'm just so distracted by this. All right. Oh man, I can't wait. All right, so I'll show this to the crowd. See, if I block my face here, you'll see the bottle is better looking than I am. I don't know if you guys can get that on the video, but the base of that bottle is super cool. I love cultural spirits like this too, because they tell a story, and especially in like, so this is Baijiu, which is a Chinese spirit, but things in that Asian culture, Japanese products, Chinese products, there's so much symbolism involved in everything that they do, and I wish I knew what everything on this label meant, because I'm sure the label tells a story. I'm sure the bottle tells a story. I'm sure the raised glass parts tell a story. Baiju translates to white spirit. It is the spirit of China and one of the most widely consumed spirits in the world. Oh man. Smelling this making me giddy. So Baiju, white spirit, I had heard of it. I have never had Baiju in my life. This is about to be my first taste. I can't stop smelling this. Oh man, this is so fucking cool. So this is Ming River Baiju. I had to kind of do a hunt for it. There's not a lot of stores that carry Baiju. I had to go to my local Total, which Total is great because Total will stock Baiju, and there'll be one idiot like me who will drive there and buy it. I would never stock Baiju in my store. I don't know that anybody would buy it. But I know where to find it. Again, it's that old analogy. You never want to own a boat. You just want to know a guy who owns a boat. And for me, the guy who owns a boat a lot of the times is Total Wine. I'll let them take the risk. This distillery goes back to 1573. That's older than our country. Doesn't get more historic than that. And so when I started looking into Baiju, like trying to figure out what is this stuff, it's a spirit that's made from fermented grains, kind of, in the same vein as like a whiskey would be, I suppose. You need starch substances to sort of stimulate the development of alcohol. And, you would have thought I would have written down in my fucking notes that, Baiju. It's kind of, it sells more than vodka or whiskey. It's typically made from fermented sorghum or other grains with a 35% to 60% ABV. Sometimes has funky flavors. I love that. This has got a super, super fruity nose to it. Wow. This literally makes me giddy. So when I started looking into Baiju, like, they had some that were like $200 a bottle. They're in the they're $200 for a half bottle. So I did a little bit of a dive in Baiju. I was gonna wait until I tasted it to see how deep I wanted to go with it. But by just smelling this, ooh. So this particular Baiju is made from red sorghum, which is like a grass. It's a gluten substitute. It's a starch that, if you get gluten-free beer, typically they use sorghum to replace like barley. All right. Sometimes there's no need to fucking talk. Let's just drink. Oh, I am fucking in love with that. There is so much going on in that. This may be the coolest fucking thing I have tasted since I don't know when. This is the coolest thing I've tasted in a long time. When I tell you guys, and like if you can see me on video, like if you're sad enough where you're sitting there watching me, like there's something fucking wrong with you, but there is so much. There's like almost like a candyish fruit flavor there, like red berries. But then there's like tea notes. Yeah, it's like berry, and then green tea, and then almost and it's gonna sound awful, but like a hint of like barbecue in the back, like something kind of burnt, but in a really good way, kind of not quite peat. Um, Sometimes South African wines have like this kind of funk umami in the back. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but I don't remember. I've never tasted anything quite like that. And this is 90 proof on the Richter scale. And like if you're wondering like what do you do with it? I could probably just drink it right off the fucking bottle. Holy, this is super cool and funky, and like I would drink this with like some good Chinese food, like some good Sichuan food, things that have like peppercorns and chilies in it, and oh man, that was probably really fucking. Sorry guys. Just doing a little baijiu and soda mix here. Oh god. Yeah, there's like peppercorns in the back. Oh, wow. I am in love now. That's amazing. Wow, is that delicious? Who knew? Baijiu for the win. Again, this is Ming River, so is it good? This is really good. I actually, as pleasantly surprised as I am, I'm also surprised at how accessible I think this is. I would have thought when I picked this up, like I'm gonna taste this, it's gonna taste like really bad moonshine, funky, and I wouldn't be able to recommend this to any of my friends. But because I'm that person who needs to drink every weird liquor I can find, it would appeal to me and to me only. I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of people surprised when I taste them on this at how good this is. Is this good? This is fucking amazing. I am in love with this bottle. Is it worth the money? Now, when I was looking at Baijius on the Total Wine website, I found some that were like $18 a bottle, and I was like, well, they only had about 9 selections in stock, and like more than half of them were $150, $200, $300, and then there was one for like 18. And I know I always talk about like you can't really always shop on price, but when the disparity is from a $200 bottle or an $18 bottle, in my brain somewhere there's got to be a disparity there. This was in the sweet spot for me. $35 on the shelf, 90 proof. Is it good? Yes. Is it worth the money? Every fucking penny. This is delicious. I am blown away. Would I buy it again? Hell yes. Hopefully somebody else buys it, because if I'm the only one buying it, even Total Wine will discontinue it at some point. Does the bottle start a conversation? Absolutely. Like, I don't know if on the video you can see, when I post this up on Instagram, I'll make sure to feature, like, the base of this bottle is so cool. It looks like the bottle design makes it look like it's on a pedestal almost. And I'm sure that there's a deeper meaning involved there. Wow. That is... You guys who have listened to the podcast know that I love when things don't turn out the way they started. I did not. I did not expect that to blow me away in that fashion. Wow. Like I need to take a little pause to reset here. Wow. Ooh, that was delicious. All right. So, my culture part. Some shit that I've watched recently, and I've watched a few good things that I'm saving for later episodes, but I've watched a few. That I kind of I like these series that are like just one season. It's kind of like an extended movie, and it's cool because you can kind of wrap it up. And then certain things I like man, I loved the most recent season of Landman. It's great, and sometimes you get attached to the characters, and you want to see them for multiple seasons, because the writing is that good. Mayor of Kingstown was like that for me. The most recent season of Mayor of Kingstown was, it was the fourth season, and very rarely is the fourth season the best season, but it was. And then there are movies where you get sort of attached to the character, you immerse yourself in the film, you kind of lose yourself in the story, and then it's over, and that's kind of all you need. And it almost resembles sometimes relationships with people. Sometimes it's just a movie. You meet somebody, it's a couple hours, that's the whole relationship. Sometimes it's a mini series, and they're in your world for what they say, for a reason or a season. Sometimes they're in there for a season, and they're important, and then when that season's over, you kind of move on. And sometimes it's a series where they're around for multiple seasons. Kind of a shit analogy. I don't know. I'm still giddy about the fucking Baiju. But I've watched a couple of these sort of limited run series lately where, much like, I'm excited about this one as well. Much like the three liquors in front of me, that when I saw the previews and I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, that looks really, really interesting. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. Sometimes when you finish that limited series, you're like, what the fuck did I just watch? So, first one, All Her Fault. Great fucking premise. Ooh, that's funky. A premise of a well-off family whose kid is at a play date, and the mom goes to pick the kid up from a play date, and she was sent to the wrong address, and the kid has actually been kidnapped. And you watch the first episode, and the cast is loaded. Sarah Snook from Succession, who's an amazing actress, and you get through the first episode, and you're like, whoa, I am totally invested. And then with each successive episode, it introduces a new suspect, and you go oh, well, that person had motive to do it. And then the next episode, that person had, and it seems to get more convoluted by the episode until the very end. And then the way it ends, and I'm not going to give any spoilers away, and I'm not going to tell you not to watch it. I'm just telling you it's a little convoluted. And when I get to the end, it's just sort of what the fuck did I just, it started out with so much promise, and then as the episodes went on, you're like, this is just getting fucking weirder and weirder and more convoluted for the sake of being convoluted. And I feel like there's a rash of these shows lately that are they get a ton of hype, and the acting, Hunting Wives was the classic example. The acting's great. the story's just so convoluted that you don't really care about any of the characters in the end. And I found with All Her Fault, which I believe I watched on Peacock, great premise, acting, fantastic. And as the story plays out, you realize by the end, like, I don't give a shit about any of these people. They're just all terrible people. Then I watched His and Hers, which I believe I watched on Netflix. Same thing. Trailer looks great. All right, I'm going to get invested. 6, 7 episodes. This is an easy one. The premise that there's a murder in some small town outside of Atlanta, the backwoods of Georgia, which I have been to, and they're fucking backwoods. Towns where everybody knows everybody and everything about everybody. There's a murder. There's a cop who's investigating the murder. There's a television reporter who's obviously got some background issues that barely get sort of explored in the very end. She's there to investigate the murder, and they seem to have a conflict, and it turns out that they're actually married. And you go like, interesting premise. They're married, rivals, investigating murder. Everybody looks like they've got something to hide, and with each successive episode, there's a new character or a new angle where you're like, oh, well, that's the person who can do it. And it's just, it feels convoluted and excessive simply for the express purpose of just taking you on a ride to be excessive, just to be convoluted. And then when you get to the end, you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck did I just watch? And in the end, you realize, like, none of these people are good people. I don't care about any of them. Oh, man. Oh, this next bottle's going to be funky. If you're just listening, you can't see the color. But that color. It's got a lovely yellow chartreuse hue to it. In the last series that I watched, that I was actually kind of entertained, that was a little convoluted, but for some reason a lot more fun. There's a show called Steel on Prime, starring Sophie Turner as the main character. And the hard part about watching this for me, because I loved Game of Thrones, Sophie Turner was a main character on Game of Thrones. It's so hard for me to look at her and not see her as that same character from Game of Thrones. It's such an iconic character, and she played it so well. But I was blown away by her acting in this. And I guess it showed the difference between, like, the other two, His and Hers, All Her Fault. Like, the plot twists are just, they're ridiculous. And they're there, and they exist for the purpose of just being a plot twist. Whereas Steel, like, there's some interesting plot twists, and by no means is it's like the acting is all really good. The story's a little thin. The guy who played the main character on the show Warrior, Andrew something, is really good in it. It's an all British cast. Sophie Turner's acting is great. The premise is that she works for a big financial firm, and there's a plot to kind of rob the financial firm of $4 billion. And the people who are doing it are roping her into it so that she can be the fall guy, because they think she's just some, silly party girl, of which, when you look for thin spots in the show, there's one scene where she's talking to one of the guys, and she says, was I brought in, to just be the fall guy?" And he was like, "Well, that's kind of who you are. You're the party girl." And she says, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you came to work one day and there was vomit on your shirt." And I did laugh. And she goes, "But it wasn't even my vomit." But that being said, kind of jokes aside, it's a good solid watch. I think it's 6 episodes. It's a quick watch. And just as I was watching it, I was probably 3 episodes in. My friend Peter again. Whereas you guys are always sending me stuff. My friend Peter had sent me the link and like, "Hey, check this show out." So at least I know other people enjoyed it as well. A fun watch, like if you're looking for something to kind of kill a couple of nights, or if you get snowed in on a Sunday afternoon. I recommend Steel. I don't recommend All Her Fault. I don't recommend His and Hers. But I'd be curious, if you've watched any of these shows, please reach out. I want to know your thoughts, what you think. And if there's shows out there that you guys are, kind of digging, please send me. I appreciate the fact that, my friend had sent me the link to the show. I had just kind of already started it. But yeah, I'll always take show recommendations, music recommendations, book recommendations. I love the fact that you guys kind of share that stuff with me. All right. Last bottle. This is a Vesi. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a gentian liqueur from France. And as a brand, it dates back to 1930. Around the mid 1940s, they started adding a little bit of sugar to it because gentian is so bitter. Eventually, it was bought by the Martini Group, which is the people who own Martini and Rossi. Bacardi took over the Martini Group. Then they sold it off to a wine group called Boisset. And then in 2009, they left Boisset and they are back being independent. I had never seen this bottle. I was just looking through my buying guide and I was like, gentian liqueur. Sweet. It uses yellow gentian flowers that are hand-picked in France. And if you're wondering like what gentian is, it's the bitter component in Amaros. It's a big component in like Angostura bitters. It's a bitter liqueur, and gentian liqueurs are supposed to be good for digestion, your insides. This smells funky as fuck. Look at that color. Oh, so cool. Now, whereas the Baijiu, when I smelled it, I was like, oh, I think I know some people who would like it. Smelling this, I'm like, I think I know 2 people who may actually enjoy this. All right, here we go. In the face hole. I love it. I wish there wasn't as much sugar added to it. But I do love the fact that this is, Jesus, 18% alcohol, so 36 proof. So there's definitely some sugar in there. There's definitely some sweetness to kind of balance out that bitterness. This kind of tastes like a sweeter version of Malort. It's got that same, like, if they added sugar to Malort, it would taste something like this. Now, it's recommended to be drank sort of after dinner as a way to settle your stomach, but also with soda water or with tonic water. And I just so happen to have a little bit of soda water there. Oh yeah, that with a wedge of lemon. I love the fact that it's 18%. So you could have a couple of these with soda water. Makes for a super low ABV kind of cocktail sipper after dinner thing. Oh yeah, know some people I will share that with. Yeah, that's fantastic. Is it good? It's good, but to a very specific audience. Is it worth the money? Again, I think it's about 35 bucks. It's a liter bottle. So for that price, for a liter, yeah, it's definitely worth it. Would I buy it again? For me personally, probably not, and only because of the sugar content. Like, it's the sweetness helps balance the bitterness, but for me, I would like a little bit more bitterness to it. Does the bottle start a conversation on the bar? Absolutely. When I had this bottle at the store, because I special ordered it through the store for myself, everybody who saw it was like, "What is that?" And they picked it up and had to look at it, and all I could say was like, "I don't know yet." Yeah, no, that's really, really tasty. Mm. Yeah, that's fantastic. One other thing that I saw, and this was a big movie, um, you know, did a few TV shows, throw a movie in there, was a movie called Begonia, starring Jesse Plemons, who I've seen in a bunch of shit lately. Emma Stone is in it. And the premise is that Emma Stone is like the CEO of this big corporation, and Jesse Plemons and his cousin are like these wild conspiracy theorists about aliens taking over the earth and making humans sick. And so they kidnap Emma Stone, they keep her trapped in the basement of their house because they think she's an alien. They shave her head because they think that she can connect with the mothership through her hair, and they rub weird lotion on her legs so like she can't contact the mothership or they can't find her. And you kind of watch the whole movie going like, what the fuck is happening here? Again, brilliant acting. Emma Stone is phenomenal in the movie. And kudos to her for shaving her head for the role, and the acting is like really fucking good. And then when you get to the end of the, like, you watch a lot of the movie going like, what is fucking happening? These guys are weird. It's such a strange, like a dramatic movie that's trying to have like a sci-fi concept to it. And then you get to the very end, and the payoff at the very end of the movie, I just sat there looking at this, what the fuck? But it's so weird that I go back to that Miles Davis quote of like, people will be drawn to things that they don't understand as long as there's enough hype behind it. And I feel like that movie, Begonia, spelled Bugonia, had so much hype behind it, and good reason. I mean, again, it's Emma Stone. She shaved her head for the role. Her acting is really good. But when you got to the end, like, I just was left with like a, what the fuck did I just watch? Kind of feeling like, I guess the fact that it left you with more questions than answers, but it wasn't like, oh, like that was, it was just sort of like, what the it doesn't make any fucking sense. Or it does make sense. Or, I don't know. Interesting movie, good way to kill a couple hours, but when you get to the end, you're like, what just happened here? Yeah, bonkers. That's it. That's all I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for indulging me on this, for being a part of it. Uh, Interesting spirits. Sometimes it's good to have your standbys and some consistency, but for me, like, this stimulated my brain, my soul. Like, there's still cool things out there to discover, and I like the fact that we're all sort of differently human. Like, there are people who are good in, like, in the steady. Like, I drink Jim Beam every day. Those people are great, and I envy people who just find that one thing that they like, and they can just stick to it. And for me, it's the journey is never ending. So I'm always looking for something new and interesting and different. I talked about it on the Eddie and the Cruises episode, like the statement of, like, I want to see things that nobody's ever seen before. I want to do things that people haven't done before. I want to taste liquors that people haven't tasted. Obviously, somebody's tasted these, but the people in my world haven't. So I'm going to enjoy having discovered this. And now I'm going to enjoy sharing it with some of you guys. And that's the joy of the journey for me. In discovery and learning and constantly being enriched and challenged and stimulated. And you guys are such a huge part of that. So again, thank you for listening all the way till the end. I really do appreciate it. It does mean the world to me. I know I've gotten away from the tradition for the last few episodes, but here we go. As we bring this episode to a close. Well, first, let's do the drill. Let's do the thing. Thank you for listening all the way through to the end. And if you like what I'm doing here, you know the deal. Go to the podcast page, click that follow button, give it a 5-star rating, share it out on your social media. Follow along on Facebook and Instagram. Again, I don't post a lot of shit on Facebook, but by following me on Facebook, you can message me through Facebook Messenger. Everything I post on Instagram are things that I'm actually drinking, reading, listening to, actually doing. There is no AI on my Instagram. I try to do very little effects. Like, it's just, I know it's boring. I know it's old school. I know I'm the old guy on Instagram, but everything I post is just real in there. Nothing enhanced. No bullshit. Just right to the point. So yeah, you can message me through both of those platforms. You can leave comments and reviews about the podcast. You can message me about recommendations, things you want me to try, music you think I might be interested in, movies you think I might be interested in, TV shows, documentaries, books, anything. I love it all. Thank you guys so much. And remember, you are not alone. The Lord is fucking great. And social media is not real. Cheers, guys. And that is it. Episode wrap. That was a fun one. It was a surprising one. I am totally blown away by this fucking Baijiu. So I'm going to look forward to sharing this with people. I strongly encourage people to go out and discover shit like this for yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know there's not a lot of videos up there, but I'm going to start to add more as the weeks go on. Nothing fancy, no frills, no bullshit, straight to the point, raw, honest, real, unfiltered, unedited, unscripted, largely unprepared, but human, always. Cheers, guys.